guys, today is Vlogmas day 24, the day before Christmas and officially our last day of Vlogmas. Tonight's video was supposed to be a bake with me. We were going to make sugar cookies, but when we got home from the kids' grandparents' house, I was not feeling well, and I still haven't been feeling well ever since, so we ended up just using the pre-made cookie dough that we had in the fridge and made cookies. I will insert that footage here. The snowman's dusting off his hat, putting on the show for everybody, to give them a smile that lasts another year. There's something that happens when sleigh bells are ringing, when December ends, when the children are singing, yeah. It's Merry Christmas, baby. Ooh, yeah. There's room at the table for big and for small. All the fire is popping, the chestnuts are cracking, yeah. So I do apologize that we weren't able to do the full cookie video, but yeah, like I said, I have not been feeling the best in the last few hours. I did want to take this time and give a little update on Noah's surgery. I know I haven't posted about it, but his surgery went really well. He ended up getting in a bit later than what we originally thought. They told us to be there at 7, but he didn't end up going into surgery until I think it was about 9:30. So he was very, very cranky in between then and the time he went in. And he also did get up at 5 a.m. I got up at 3 to feed him because he wasn't able to have food or breast milk 4 hours before his surgery. So I woke up at 3 a.m. and breastfed him. He went back to sleep, but woke up at 5, which was really sucky. But I was kind of expecting him to do that. And he was super cranky from the moment he woke up and I didn't feed him. So we ended up leaving the hospital, the hotel early because he was being really sooky, and we thought maybe he will go back to sleep in the car. I even tried going into the bathroom and waiting in there so he couldn't see me, and Carl tried to put him back to sleep, but that didn't work either. That has worked before when I've got up to take Missy for a walk in the morning, and I've left, Noah has fallen back to sleep with Carl, so we thought that may have worked, but it didn't. So yeah, we got up and we packed our stuff and went in the car, and drove around, and then got breakfast until it was time to head to the hospital. But yeah, he slept for like, I think it was about 15 minutes before we had to actually go into the hospital. And then he was okay while I was walking through the hospital. He wasn't asking for milk or he wasn't crying. But when I got to the reception area, he got a little bit cranky. I checked in, and then I went to sit down, and that's when he started getting a little bit more cranky, but he was still just wanting to hop down and play. And then we went back into the little initial room where they were going to check his vitals and stuff, and that's when he got super cranky. And then we were there for, I think we went into that room probably about 7:10, and we were there from then till 9:30. Well, a little bit before 9:30, and he pretty much screamed that whole time. He was, anything that I tried, the nurse come in and tried to put the TV on for him. She put cartoons on for him, come in to try and give him a teddy. Yeah, but he just wouldn't have any of it. So it was very, very hard to not feed him, because I know that he would have been hungry, especially because, you know, he didn't get to eat for all that time. It wasn't just until 7. So yeah, it was really, really hard to not be able to feed him or do anything for him. And I was even trying to hug him, and for the last maybe hour or so, he just was throwing himself back, and yeah, he was not happy at all. But we finally eventually got taken into another room. It was like the little room before the actual theater room, and I was laying on the bed with him, and a nurse put Bluey on, and he was really tired by that point because he had been screaming for a very long time. So he ended up falling asleep, which was really really good, and I was so glad, because they said that it's better if they're tired, obviously. So when we went back into the actual theater, they had me put him on the bed, and they said sometimes they can wake up when they put the mask on, because it's, yeah, and apparently it stinks. So they said sometimes they can wake up and get upset and blah, blah, blah. But luckily, I laid him down. He didn't even wake up when I laid him down. He woke up when they put the mask on. He opened his eyes for a second and then kind of just like went like that, and then yeah, he closed his eyes again. He was asleep. So I'm really, really thankful that that wasn't a struggle, because I was really worried about that bit, that he would get really scared, but he didn't, and he did really, really well. So it made me feel a lot better. I went down. They took me out as soon as he went to sleep, because they like to do the rest quickly. They took me out straight away, and then they took me back to the waiting area that I checked in at. I went downstairs. They said they will call me when the surgery was over. So I went downstairs and got something to eat, and went to the toilet. So I sat outside and did that, and then by the time I come back, which was, it wasn't maybe like 15 or 20 minutes, then I went back and sat down, and it wasn't for very long, maybe like 10 minutes, and then the surgeon come out and said that everything went well. He didn't end up having to have the 2 extra cuts at the top of his groin. Yeah, so they didn't end up cutting at the top and then the bottom, and then pulling them down. They end up just doing the 1 slice on the bottom, not his bottom, but on the sack. Yeah, so the 1 slice, and then bringing them down and stitching them. So it wasn't as hard as they thought it was going to be. So it was pretty quick. Everything went well. He did well. And then he left, and he said that somebody will come out and get me when Noah is awake. So I waited for maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, and then they come out and said that he was awake and I was allowed to go in. That bit was really sad for me, because as I could hear him as I was walking down the corridor. I could hear him crying, and as I was walking over, I could see the 2 nurses, because he was like chucking a tantrum on the bed and like rolling over. Like I could see them trying to calm him down and stuff. And so I hopped on the bed with him. They said, yeah, it's best to hop on the bed and give him a cuddle. I hopped on the bed with him, but he didn't really recognize me at all. He was still pretty out of it. So I was just trying to cuddle him, and like I was speaking to him and saying it was okay and that I was there. But he still, yeah, he still was pretty much just like rolling around and crying. So I ended up asking if it was right if I fed him, and I asked him if he wanted milk, but he didn't respond. He was still doing the same thing, just rolling around and crying. But then I ended up getting him to drink for, it was maybe like not even a minute, and then he started crying again, and it was just the saddest thing to see him like that, because well, if you're a breastfeeding mum, you know, like generally Booby fixes most things. Like every time they're upset, even if they've just had like fallen and scraped their knee, or anything like that, as soon as you feed them, they're okay. Like they pretty much stop crying then and there, and then they're fine. So when he wasn't responding to me feeding him and he was still getting upset, it was, yeah, really sad. And yeah, that happened for a little while after that. He didn't actually properly feed until we got home, which was, oh, what time did we get home? I think it was about 1:30. We got home. So in between all that time, he didn't have like a proper feed. Every time I try, he would just pretty much do the same thing. At some points he looked like he was going to go to sleep, then he'd just wake up and cry. And they said that he wouldn't have been in pain because they gave him something afterwards, like a pain medication. I can't remember what she said it was, but he wouldn't have been in pain. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was just confusion or he was actually in pain, but it was, yeah, it was just super weird. And it was, yeah, really emotional for me because I didn't know what to do and I didn't know how to help him. But yeah, they said that he could go once he ate something. They gave me a custard for him, which he did not want to eat that because, like I said, he was just, yeah, crying and rolling around, didn't really want me to even hold him. I tried to stand up and like rock him, and he didn't want that either. He just kept throwing his head back and crying, so I'd have to put him on the bed because he kept throwing his head back, and I didn't want to drop him because he's really strong. So I was putting him on the bed and like patting him and trying everything to get him in a comfy position. And he was also getting annoyed with his cannula, I think the drip thing, the needle that they put in the arm, your hand. He was getting annoyed with that, and at one point he almost ripped it. So I think that's another big reason why he was acting like that, and yeah, getting frustrated because it must have been hurting. I don't know, but they said that they couldn't take that out until he had eaten something, and then he wouldn't eat the custard. So I was like, oh. Yeah, but then they swapped nurses, and this older nurse ended up coming, and she said like if he's had breast milk, then she's happy to take it out. So she ended up taking it out, and he was a little bit better after that, but still very grumpy. And she just ended up saying, I think it's just best if you take him home, somewhere where he's familiar. Generally, she said that that's what makes him feel better. So she ended up letting us go. Carl came to pick us up, and then we drove home, and he slept all the way home, and then woke up just as we got home. Then I brought him in here. It was so hot though because we don't have a ducted anymore. So yeah, and then we pretty much just stayed in bed for a little while, but he kind of did the same thing when we were here. He didn't feed for very long. He was just tossing and turning, getting cranky. He still hadn't eaten at that point when we got home at 1:30. I tried to give him an ice block, but he didn't want that either, which is very out of character for him because he loves Super Dupers. So yeah, and then he had a little nap. We both had a little nap for a little while. Carl actually went and got this, not ducted, portable aircon, so we could lay in here and sleep in the aircon, because he was supposed to stay in bed for 24 hours and not play as much as possible, which is obviously hard for a 15-month-old. But yeah, the first day he was just beside himself. He did end up having an ice block later once the kids' nan got here, and I said that he wouldn't take an ice block, but he ended up taking an ice block when she fed it to him, which is really good. And he didn't end up eating food until, I want to say it was about 5 or 6 o'clock that night. So he went pretty much all day without having anything to actually eat. And yeah, so that added to his grumpiness. Well, I shouldn't say grumpiness, but yeah. But anyway, his surgery went well. He is pretty much back to normal now. Today is day 3 to, what day is it? Friday. So he had his surgery on Wednesday, then Thursday, and now it's Friday. So today is day 3, and he's been pretty much acting normal. He's been having Panadol every 4 hours, well, for 4 times a day. So I set my alarm. My first one goes off at 6, and then his last one is at 6 p.m. before he goes to bed, and then I don't wake up during the night to give it to him, or I don't wake him up. So yeah, he has it 4 times a day. The nurse said to do that for the first 3 days just to keep him comfortable, and then following after that, just give it to him if he seems like he's in pain, which I think he'll be fine because he hasn't really complained since, and he's been doing really, really well with it. So yeah, that's the update on Noah. I really, really hope that he doesn't ever have to have that surgery again. The doctor did say that within 2 years there's a slight chance that they will move back. But yeah, fingers crossed that that doesn't happen, because I do not want to go through that again. I mean, it will be a bit different when he's older, because obviously I'll be able to explain to him that he can't eat or whatever. But yeah, I'm excited for him to be able to, because I was worried about that he wouldn't be well enough to enjoy his toys on Christmas, but he is so good, almost completely back to normal. And yeah, so tomorrow is Christmas. I'm about to head to bed because, like I said, I do not feel well. I didn't end up staying up and watching a movie with the kids like I wanted to. They watched a Christmas movie while I had a shower and did all that. So yeah, and then I did bake cookies with them and we set all the stuff out, and now they're in bed. It is 9 o'clock. So yeah, I'm going to head to bed now, and hopefully I feel better in the morning because I do not want to feel sick on Christmas. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for everyone for sticking with us for our Vlogmas, our first ever Vlogmas. I do look forward to doing it next year. And next year I will have it planned out a lot better. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.